welcome to Up Close with Carlos Sang, celebrating art, entertainment, and the human spirit. Welcome to another episode of Up Close with Carlos Sang. My next guest is a two-time Olivier Award-nominated actress who is about to open in Bronco Billy at the Charing Cross Theatre. She is one of the most acclaimed actresses on the West End scene, having previously starred in productions of Flashdance to Grease to Gypsy. It's a huge delight to be able to introduce the one and only Victoria Hamilton-Barritt. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
Yeah, so Bronco Billy, it was a pretty, distinct Western drama from the 80s, and I don't know if many people thought it would have become a musical, 30 years later. What was your first reaction to, reading the script and hearing the music?
I just thought how delightful it was. I had an idea of what the film was. I remember the film being around. I haven't seen it. I still haven't seen it. And I don't know if it's actually helpful to watch the film, because I really feel that the musical is a thing in itself, and very separate to the movie. So if you have an idea of the film, I think it's definitely put it in the trash and just come with new, fresh eyes, really, on this experience, because it's going to be completely different. Although it's the same writer, which is the wonderful Dennis Hackin, but it's completely different. It's very high camp and, just lovely slapstick comedy, which I think everyone will get on board with.
Yeah, it sounds absolutely glorious. I mean, this is the first time the show has been seen in the UK. The Los Angeles run obviously was really well received, and the music sounds really amazing. How would you describe, the material and what kind of audiences come to expect from this production?
Okay, well, this is all about disco and cowboys. So if you like those two things, you are in for an absolute treat. It's high drama, and the comedy is just so ridiculous, where in rehearsals we keep on thinking, because there's always one that pushes the boundaries a little bit too far, and you can guarantee that person is always me, just being a little bit cheeky, doing something they shouldn't be doing. This is the story of my life, and I haven't been told off once. So this is, of course, like, the child in me is just having a ball, and because we can do everything that's very silly and naughty and totally get away with it and not get in trouble for it. So it's a buzz, if you can, see where I'm going. So, the comedy in the music of the 1970s with the disco music is just what kind of really brings it all together in the stakes of the show and what the show is all about. And I don't know, who's not a fan of cowboys?
Yeah, everyone loves a good cowboy. Yeah, and you've been a huge champion, of new work and new musicals over your career. Was your goal always to, originate roles and, not just do the long-running shows in the West End too?
Yeah, for me, I think that's an absolute treat and a blessing. I love creating characters. And of course, yes, everyone, I think most certainly everyone would love to have the opportunity to go into a new show with fresh eyes and lay all your ideas down and have a real kind of ownership over a character. So I have been really, really lucky and really, really fortunate that in the last while I've been able to do that, And again, yeah, same with this. I mean, of course, it happened in LA for this limited run, but it's come into London with new energy, new eyes. And yeah, once again, I get to create another gritty character, which again is very kind of, well, I always play the naughty ones, don't I? I'm always being mean to someone here or there. And yeah, it's great to be able to do that again.
I know that you also got to work with Taryn Calendar last year on The Odyssey at the National. How has it been getting to work together again on such a different piece?
I mean, he just stalks me. This is the thing. He keeps on going. We keep on going from job to job together. I'm going to have to tell him to just kind of back off a bit. No, I love Taryn. I love T. We've only known each other like since the summer, and he's become an absolute firm friend of mine. We shared something really, really special in The Odyssey that was, put on by Public Acts at the National Theatre, and which was it was a very emotional piece, because there was 5 professional actors, which we were included in that, and then a company of, I think, 160 other members. which were all, you know, company members from all up and down the country. So it was really, really emotional. And also people that would never have had the opportunity to have that experience of being in a big production, in a show. You know, it was bringing theatre to them, and their contribution was so rich and so powerful that I don't think we ever had a day where we didn't cry. And T is one to blame. He's quite an emotional person. I know he kind of, you know, Taron pretends he's all the big guy and everything, but he's a real softie. So yeah, to work with, I call him bro, to work with, you know, Taron again on this, it's just brilliant. And he is such a trooper and a superstar. So I'm so glad that he gets the opportunity to show himself off in this piece, because it's all about him, you know.
Yeah, definitely. I also know that this is your first time in the Charing Cross Theatre, and you know the last few projects that you've done have been pretty grand affairs. You know, with Cinderella in the Gillian Lynn, Hex, and the Odyssey at the National Theatre on the Olivier stage too. How are you feeling about returning to a more intimate venue where you've got your audience much closer to you too?
I personally prefer these intimate venues. I always have done. I think because you're so close to the audience, you really get to share something quite intense. So, in the way of comedy and how comedy works, it really can land quite differently because it's not on a larger scale. It feels more like it's in your living room amongst friends. You know, it's quite a strange feeling, which is definitely, for me, more, I don't know, enriching. And that is why I always prefer smaller venues, like the Arts Theatre as well. I did Murder Ballad in the Arts Theatre, and I just loved the size of that theatre just being so small. Also, what the Southwark Playhouse, again, I just love it because you're on top of the audience. You see their reactions to what you're doing, and usually from me, again, I'm doing something very naughty, and I just kind of get to shock people and just see their reaction from it, you know. And yeah, that is why I love these small venues. And of course, don't get me wrong, like to perform into the Olivier Theatre, my gosh, like everyone dreams of being on that stage, you know, who's an actor. And it's beautiful in a different way. But yes, it's definitely a home from home sort of experience in those smaller houses.
Yeah, and also as you say, your character Constance, she's perhaps the villain of the show. She's quite naughty. She's the stepmother of Emily Benjamin's character. How has it been, channeling your inner baddie and developing that dynamic with the rest of the cast?
Well, first of all, Emily is just so gorgeous, and it's really, really hard being horrible to her because I'm just the biggest fan of her. She's just absolutely sublime and just truly, truly, truly wonderful. And when I found out she was doing this, I accepted straight away because I really wanted to work with Emily Benjamin. Um, yeah, I mean, Constance is what you'd imagine. You know, she is. She's falling into that wicked stepmother role, which I'm used to doing. I'm always painted as a villain, but yeah, I'm revisiting the stepmother, wicked, gold digger type, and the flamboyancy of her vigor. You know, it's just how you'd imagine it to be, and where we're going down this direction of their relationship, you know. So yeah, it hits those points and hits those spots um in the retaliation of those characters, you know. So it's just fun to watch, and just, you know, her winding me up and me biting her head off, you know, and running after her with a weapon.
Is there much of you as well in these characters as well when you're playing these, wicked stepmother characters too?
Absolutely not. I have no idea what you're talking about. I am a saint. I am a saint. Anyone will tell you if they know me, they'll be like, that lady, she's such a kind-hearted person. No, I mean, I don't know. There must be a reason. People say, you know, the reason why you get all these villains, Vix, is because of your eyebrows. You do something very wicked with your eyebrows, you know. So I don't blame me. Just blame the eyebrows, you know. But I'm enjoying this, I'm enjoying this pigeonhole. I'm loving it because I get to have so much fun playing all these villain sorts. It's just way more fun, you know.
Yeah, I mean, the last time we saw you play a wicked stepmother was, of course, in Angela Webber's Cinderella,
Mm.
and you were very much involved in that journey, from the workshop over to the Gillian Lynn. How did you, sort of begin to, develop that character too, how she looked, how she sounded, and did your approach change much, as you went from stage to stage?
I think I was really, really lucky with that because I was on board for Cinderella from the very beginning. So me and Carrie Hope Fletcher, who's wonderful, and she played the role of Cinderella, as you'd know. we had that lovely opportunity to create those characters firsthand alongside Emerald Fennell, who is, you know, the writer, and Andrew Lloyd Webber, and yeah, I mean, the whole entire creative team. So we were in a really fortunate position, which meant from early on, we could really just put our staple on it and decide who these people were and what they were going to be, especially with the relationship between the two of them, but also their own personal journey. Yeah, I mean, I think I was quite, you know, Jekyll and Hyde to begin with that, in the rehearsal process, or certainly in the workshop process, of just trying different voices and different looks and everything. You know, with the stepmother, her voice would break in time sometimes, and there was a little gravel, and I think sometimes she was a bit like David Bowie, but a little bit Joanna Lumley as well. And that was the sound of the stepmother. And I felt one day that voice just came to me after playing around for a good while. And I was like, yeah, I think that's what she is. I think that's who she is and how she sounds, you know. And also what was really helpful, which not a lot of people realize, at the time I was doing, you know, Invisalign, you know, the braces.
Yeah.
I did the whole, well, most of the run with Invisalign. So it kind of gave me a little lisp that came through. And everyone's like, "Oh, the lisp thing you did." I didn't tell anyone, didn't dare tell anyone that that was not a choice. I was like, "Yeah, it's the choice I made to have a little lisp, you know." But it added to it added to her voice so well, to just speak through her teeth a little bit, you know. Um, yeah, and then obviously I finished my course, and then I removed it, so I had to retrain my sound, you know, in my dressing room. But
Oh,
yeah.
right.
Playing around with different voices for the stepmother, and I guess it's the same with this, really. I guess it's just still I'm not quite there with Constance. I still have to kind of figure out how she'll be sounding, and
Mm,
what, you know, how her face sits, you know. And you know, I love a good eyebrow, so for every character I play, I always do a different eyebrow. So this is something I love to do, because this will really, really set me up in understanding more about how this person looks like and how her face sits.
yeah.
And with her face sitting a certain way, you can play with different muscles in your face to create different shapes, you know. So yeah, it's all about the eyebrows for me. um for every character I play, I love to change the eyebrow.
Yeah. Did you get to prepare, as thoroughly as well, for Bat Boy last year? Because I know that was one of your favorite musicals growing up. And did you, it was only for one night only, how much preparation did you get for that too?
Okay, well, we had no preparation. We had 1 week rehearsal to learn an entire show, which was fully staged, and it was really, really great, because it was so hot, in the sense of, like, we had very little time.
Mm.
It was good, because we had to get on with it. So yeah, so I made some very, very quick choices of I'm trying to remember the name of the character now, Meredith,
Oh,
of how she sounded and how she looks and what does she wear, and you know, what's her little mannerisms. And a lot of it was throwing her hands to her head in despair and dismay. And you know, she was definitely more of a kind of precious character, a little bit more insecure and stuff, and then she kind of came into her own later. But yeah, we had very, very little time, so we
mm.
learnt a show in a week, and then
Yeah.
we had to perform it on Halloween night. Yeah.
Yeah. What was it about Bat Boy which, that you loved so much? And, did the experience of playing Meredith end up being, what you'd expected it to be too?
I saw it at the Shaftesbury Theatre so many years ago. I'm thinking it must be coming up to 25 years ago now. And I went 3 times. And I just remember thinking, this is the best thing I've ever seen. I just love that kind of comedy. I love the silliness of it, but being played true.
Mm,
And with that kind of comedy, you have to play it true. You can't be winking at the audience. I think in Bronco Billy, it's fun that we can wink at the audience. And I think there's going to be a lot of that from us, and laughing with the audience. I think we can kind of, you know, really chew into that and give ourselves permission to enjoy that. But with Bat Boy, because it's so ridiculous and the stakes are forever being upped and upped, like, where you couldn't think it could get any more ridiculous or any worse or any messier. Like, the writing is just hilarious in that way. um you still have to play it straight. So the audience sometimes just, you know, they've been laughing, but they're thinking to themselves, should I have laughed at that? Of course you should have laughed at it. It's so completely ridiculous. Nothing like that ever happens in real life. You know, laugh. But because it's played so straight, that is the challenge of Bat Boy. And that's what I loved. And I just saw that and I was like, oh, I'd love to be able to have this opportunity to do something of that ilk where I just play so silly but play it deadpan, dead serious. Yeah, it still to this day is my favorite musical alongside Spring Awakening and Matilda. Um, and yeah, I'm just so glad I got to do it.
Yeah.
I think if I come into town and just do a little limited run somewhere, be all for that. I'd be, yeah, fighting the next man to get back into that show.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you've taken on such a diverse range of parts over your career, from Carmen in Fame to Kate in The Wild Party to the stepmother in Cinderella. How do you know when to say yes or no to a project?
It has to speak to me. It has to be okay. So I'm never one of these people to fight for a part, fight for a role. I don't believe in that. I believe if it's destined and people understand what you're doing and they like your cause and they agree with it and it looks like it would be a happy partnership, I'll be on board. If you're enthusiastic about me and what I could possibly bring to the table, I want to work with you. If I feel that for whatever reason I have to fight for my position to be there, I am absolutely shut off. I'm not interested. But if I no, no, and I'm very strict with myself with that. So you know how sometimes you go into a room and you go, oh, the energy was a bit weird. Just forget it. Just walk, get it out of your mind and just get on. If they call back and they want to see you and then go in and see if it would be a good partnership, because my contribution to that production
Mhm.
is enough.
Yeah.
I'm going to bring something. And whether they see that or not, or respect that, more importantly, well, that's all on their terms. I'm giving the best of them, but I also hope to get the best from them in turn.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no, I don't exhaust myself. I never fight for anything.
Mm.
And what was lovely about this with Bronco Billy, Hunter Bird, who's the wonderful director, and I just absolutely adore him, and I think he's a friend for life now. We met up, and I saw how enthused he was. He also fed me gin, so he gave me gin, and we just had a real good laugh, a good chat in a pub, and he explained the show to me and what he wanted from the show, and I asked him how he saw it, and in the way of comedy, how he was going to play it, and what we were going to do with it. But I could see that he was enthusiastic to have me on board.
Mm.
And that's wherever there's that kind of love, that's where I want to go. You
Yeah.
know, that's a real important thing for me. I have to be wanted, I have to be needed to be in the room. And then, yeah, you can guarantee I'll probably, if I can do it and it's not on tour, because I don't tour, because I got kids, I used to do all the tours, but because I got a family, I'm very much like, no, I'm staying at home and I don't travel anymore. But if the love is there and you really, really, really want me to be in your piece and I can make it happen, that's a really, really good, strong foundation to get me in the room, because I just want good, positive, creative, happy energy. That's crucial for me, you
Yeah.
know?
It
Yeah.
definitely makes a difference. It's really good to hear that. And, coming to Bronco Billy, you're working with a lot of new up and coming actors in the
Yeah.
show. Have you, imparted any advice to any of your peers, on, carving out a career in the industry, being one of the most acclaimed leading ladies on the scene right now?
No, 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 I wouldn't dare. But, I'm there as a friend and as a peer and as a support network. I think also for younger people that do come into this, it can seem a little bit daunting. I've grown a lot from 25 years ago since I first started in this industry. And it can get a bit, yeah, but if there's always I'm always there for guidance and advice, and some people do come to me for guidance and advice, but I would never impose myself on people, where yeah, you've got to be careful with those sort of things, but I would say that I'm here for a friend, as a friend, and for support.
Yeah, I mean, 25 years is, a remarkable amount of time. I mean, how much would you say, the industry has changed, over the time that you've been working in the industry too?
Well, it's less brutal,
Mm.
that's for sure. I mean, like, I come from a very different work ethic to what's taught now. First of all, I mean, in training, I was given, I don't even know if I should say this. I got blood poisoning from rehearsing a show where I had to be rushed to hospital, all because I was dancing, practicing a summer show ballet number on point, and I saw a black line running up my leg, and I was observing this black line for a good hour, and I saw it get to my hip, and then I was rushed to hospital. You know, it was a brutal teaching method. It was very different to how it is now. Not saying that that was right, but that's what I'm used to. So I don't know. I guess I'm not easily shocked. I'm not easily shocked. Not saying that it was right, but it's also, it was so normal. It was so normalized, you know, to undergo when you're training a really busy and hard day. And sometimes you would go home crying, you know, but I feel that that shapes you and that gives you character, and it certainly builds your character. And, you know, you experience tough things because the industry is tough. You can't put a rose tinted view on this industry. It just doesn't work because you are not going to get any handouts. You are not going to, you know, be treated necessarily so well from every job that you bounce to. But what you can do is just give yourself. And if you give a strong version of yourself and teach yourself to how, you know, to treat this like water off a duck's back, don't take things so personally, you know? It's just, it's the business, it's the industry and how it rolls. So yeah, I am definitely one of those from the old method where it definitely, you know, it was a little bit more painful than I think what they teach and how they guide now, you know, whether that be physically or mentally, you know, and I think it's great. I think it's great that we have a good awareness where we look after, you know, each other now. The world needs to be more kind, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you think it's become easier, you know, to enter the industry now? Or do you think it's, you know, just as hard as it was when you started?
I think it's just as hard. You know, I think you have to have those first new breakthroughs. What's great now is that they have all these social platforms, which I'm such a dinosaur with. I don't understand social media. I do my little part and try my best, but you know, I'm going to be 42 in May. I can't, that generation's a little bit missed with me, or if it is, I wasn't paying attention, you know, when it was all happening. But with those social platforms, it's brilliant because you can build a fan base so much easier. Whereas us building our fan base was just the write-ups that we got in the papers, or you know, just from those literally coming to see the show, because there wasn't anything like that to kind of support our work, or I guess showcase our work. You know, you get people posting all sorts, you know, them singing this or doing this online, and it's more accessible now. So I think with those platforms, I definitely think it's more helpful. I wish we had this, you know, when I graduated at 18, you know. But yeah, I think this is it's a tough industry, you know, and those who stick it out generally, you know, they're the tough ones, you know. There's been times when I've been absolutely broken and I've felt really unwell and thought, wow, I'm definitely in a rut. I've got some anxiety disorder, or I'm burnt out. You know, I'm shaking because I'm burnt out. But you know what? If you're strong enough again, you just reformat your way of thinking, do a bit of work on yourself, and then off you go. You get back on the bandwagon and you join the party again. But it's no doubt hard, especially with your mental health as well. I mean, you get the physical injuries along the way, but mentally, you take a real battering. So you have to numb yourself a little bit to it all, I think. It sounds a bit crazy and sad, but you do have to kind of practice numbing your mind. And that's why I think also meditation comes into that, doesn't it? Where you can just be, and just take a step away from your mind and your thinking, because that can be very detrimental.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I feel like 2023 last year was a pretty incredible year for theatre, and I think for British theatre particularly. And I think we've got lots to look forward to in 2024. Is there anything you're particularly looking forward to seeing this year too?
I think now, what have we got coming? Hadestown. I've got quite a few friends in that. I want to see Hadestown. What else have we got? We've got, the National Theatre have always got something brilliant, you know, on the simmer and coming up. What's this? Mean Girls. Is it Mean Girls?
Oh, the
That's
movie. Yeah.
yeah. So the stage show is coming, you know. So that's I've got some friends in that as well. I don't know, just where I can support my pals, you know, in these new in these new pieces, I like to go to the theatre where I can, but sometimes it's quite difficult when you're a mum of two and you just the theatre takes me away from them when I'm working. So when I'm not working, I just kind of like to be as hands-on as possible as a parent. So I
Yeah.
don't really end up going to the theatre unless I'm in something. This is the truth. Um, but yeah, no, I always like to dip my toe and see all the nice new exciting things
Yeah. How
coming
do
up.
you find that balance, being, and a leading lady as well as being a mother too?
How do they find it more than anything?
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it can be tough. It's tough. Um, it's the juggle, and we're good at that now. We've learned to juggle and find a happy medium of trying to get a good work life, family balance that's going to kind of suit us. But it's no doubt hard, and but you make it work. And the thing is, the kids are getting older now. So my eldest is 7 and my youngest is 5. They expect it. I also very nearly went to do a master's at Central School of Speech and Drama in October. So maybe I shouldn't even be here because I very nearly went and did a master's. And then I pulled out last minute because my eldest said to me, please don't do that. I don't want you to do it. I want you to keep doing the shows. And I was like, oh, okay, hang on. I thought I was ruining your childhood, with these shows. He's like, no, 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 you have to keep doing it, Mum. You have to keep doing it. I was like, oh, okay, okay. So you have to kind of take it with a pinch of salt when they do get so upset. We're all emotional, and sometimes they'll be like, oh, Mum. But when push comes to the shove and you go, listen, do you want me to retrain in something else? Because I will do it if you've had enough of me doing this. They're like, no, 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 don't stop doing it. Don't stop doing it. So I'm like, oh, okay, okay. And so, I accepted Bronco Billy and then off we go. And then the same patterns repeat. But yeah, you find your way of juggling it. And the kids are so used to it now. They are used to it and they love what I do. They love coming along to see me in the shows, and I don't know if they'll end up going down that route themselves, if you know what I mean. I hope not. um, but yeah, no, they enjoy it. They keep that, and they love that I play all the villains as well. So
Oh, right.
people say, when are you going to play a nice person, Mum? I was like, never, never, boring. Um, but yeah, no. And my husband's a saint. He really is a pro. Daddy daycare. He's just a hero. And very supportive of what I do,
Mm.
and brilliant creative himself.
Oh,
So yeah.
oh, wonderful. Yeah, just as a last question, what do you most want to be remembered for?
Oh, yeah, just that I was fun and you know respectful, that I worked hard and did some cool stuff.
Mm,
I don't want to be famous. I've never wanted to be famous. I just wanted to be well respected in the industry that I
mm,
work in, you know?
yeah.
So I think for me, just knowing that I contributed to the arts in some way or other, and that I was a good person and a good mum. Really. Yeah, simple stuff. Simple stuff.
Yeah, Victoria Hamilton-Barritt, has been such a pleasure talking to you.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I've loved chatting to you.